Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us in part three, a three-part series on parents as leaders. My name is Latasha Bird. I'll be your facilitator today with Family STAR program. The STAR stands for Support, Training, Assistance, and Resources. We are the Family to Family Health Information Center right here in the state of Florida. And one of our goals is to help partner with families in all levels of that decision-making process and have information to help ensure that they are organized and families can use those resources easily and receive the services and the support that they would need to help their children transition through all aspects of healthcare, be it pediatric, adolescent, and even adult healthcare, and on past to work and ultimately independence. So today you are going to be here for the third in this three-part Parents as Leaders series on systems of care and advocacy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Please let us know if you would like more information at the conclusion of today's presentation. We'll be able to facilitate that request for you. Today, you are here for systems of care and advocacy with Family Network on Disabilities. We want to say welcome. Thanks so much for joining us here today. We're glad that you stopped by to find out a little bit more information about starting support groups as parents. We are a family-driven and family-centered nonprofit 501c3 here in the state of Florida. We want to make sure that you understand that we do not interpret the law or give medical advice in our presentations. We do not act as formal attorneys or doctors or even mental health professionals. However, what we do is provide information and resources and the support you may need to make informed decisions for your family and especially for your loved ones with disabilities. So again, thank you and welcome on behalf of all three of our regional PTIs and the Family STAR program. Let's get started with today's workshop. So today we're talking about systems of care and advocacy. This is the third in the three-part series of Parents as Leaders. We are going to set a couple of bullet points that you will understand by the conclusion of today's presentation, and those will become elements of advocacy, effective communication practices, and also conflict resolution practices, and also we'll harp on building capacity. So with that, let's talk about advocacy to start. So you see all of these little bubbles on the screen, but exactly what is advocacy? You see a cause, and around that cause, you see it joined with community support, taking action and improvement, and also defending on the far right outskirts. So, but what exactly is advocacy? Well, advocacy is the act of arguing for or supporting a cause, supporting an issue on behalf of either yourself or others, or even a community. There are certain elements of advocacy, and as you see them listed here on the screen, let's break this down and talk about each one of them. So the first you see is planning and evaluation. So you understand what the what looks like and what the who will entail. That's what your cause is, what community that you might be serving. And now it's time to structure your plans for effective advocacy. So you want to make sure that your group is all on the same page and in line with your mission and the direction that you are seeking to go in. So you want to think about the members in your group and find out who's good at what. Say you have someone who's great at marketing, or someone who has, really effective writing skills, or are good at speaking, or even sales, if that's what you are working toward. And you want to begin creating subcommittees for all of these different types of title blocks. in this slide. So everyone in your team should have a role that is important, making sure that everyone understands what that role is and they're accountable for the duties that are set before them. And periodically, you want to survey those needs as well, ensure that even though they might be in a certain set role, that role will expand in time and evolve. So you want to review and discuss what those roles look like and make sure that all of the goals of your group are in sync still with the members. Next, you see communication and media. You want to decode and understand what the effective means of communication will be. You want to decide on what mode of communication you're going to use as that group and how best to connect to the community that you serve. So how will your group and its efforts be captured by others? How will you reach that population that you will serve? What type of social networking platforms do you plan on using? And it's important that you write out what those group plans are on how you want to deal with, say you have questions coming in or requests for statements. And sometimes you may even need to put together a media kit because you may need statements for media. And those types of outlets to say you're having a big community garage sale as a fundraiser. Well, how will you get those statements to the media? And it's important to decide on who will be chosen, to perform those tasks and specifically handle what those types of things look like, and make sure that you adhere still to the group's rules and regulations and have them align continuously with the mission. The next you see are resources and fundraising. So you want to keep your cause and the community that you plan to serve in mind. It's a good idea to have a clear plan of action, especially if you are doing fundraising. The example that I gave a little earlier was perhaps you're having a community garage sale as a fundraiser. Well, in this case, whatever the idea may be, you want to identify people that could be potential donors or even sponsors, research different people that may have philanthropic histories, or whether or not your cause falls into what their preferred causes are to support, and perhaps identify someone in your group who has that type of experience with outreach and have them draw just a simple spreadsheet or do maybe a simple presentation and track what your progress looks like, and have them to be able to help you with that. Or even having someone who is very well-versed in accounting to track those expenditures and donations and even all those raised funds. So you want to set the group up for success and help make sure that those financial goals are in line, and you want to keep the group abreast of the progresses and if you are having challenges as well. The next one you see is information and research. So it's important to collect data and collect information that's relevant to your advocating efforts and relevant to your mission and your cause. So information such as demographics of a community that you're serving, that's important. It's important to know what those differences are in the surrounding regions that you serve as well. It's important to know what the regions look like, and for the families that you serve, learn about the different needs that they have. So it's just very important to become familiar with all of those subtle changes, all of those subtle nuances that will come into play when you have a community that is very diverse. You want to become familiar with the agencies that are available, the services that are available, and understand that from region to region, that community and those resources and all of those services may vary. So understanding how to be able to research information, research legal systems, research legal issues relevant to your cause, and how to organize it in a way that you can share and disseminate within the group is going to help with all of the policies and all the legal aspects that are going to have to be taking place within that. So we want to understand what that looks like, especially when it's time for your group to meet again and review and discuss what your findings what your findings look like. And finally, you want to get to networking and coalition building. So your group should be organized within the community as the go-to people for that cause for which you are going to be advocating, and trying to do networking and building confidence within those organizations that have similar goals as the ones that you have. Partnerships are key, and you want to build those relationships and help that be something that your group continuously works on. So other organizations, they may have different mission statements, different strengths, and they may have followed a different path other than your group. But if their goals are aligned and they're very similar to the ones that you have, you may find out that the differences that you have actually complement each other. So you should identify parent leaders in that community as well. And these are strong people who can help you with networking and recruiting all together. So these are a couple of the elements of advocacy that you want to keep close, especially when you are working toward networking and building those relationships within the community. So this is one way that we are going to help strive toward that goal with effective communication. When we're targeting the idea of parental involvement in this instance. Parents should be aware of the following for effective communications. And this is not only for home and school, but we want to think of what those partnerships look like outside of the boundaries of those two organizations. So let's talk about these bullet points that you see here, starting with involvement. Parents should participate and be involved in that school level, and they should know about PTA memberships or school communities in which parents can participate, and they can offer creative ways to be involved in the classroom as well, learning about different resources that are available for the school and understanding how you would volunteer your time. This could be for sharing information with other parents on the internet or donating items for class projects. Volunteering your time doesn't always mean that your physical presence is required at events or even at the campus. So you want to ask the teachers how you can help, but let them know that you wish to be involved. Building relationships is one way that you can discuss how your child gets along with peers and adults at home and at school. So keeping in with having an open dialogue with your child's teacher and those persons who are involved in that educational process to be consistent and ongoing. And it help to do things that will bring a welcoming atmosphere in situations to help foster those communication lines and keep them open and honest. That leads to communication. We want to help parents to understand what method of communication works best for them, what works best for the teacher. How can you work together to make sure that those lines are kept open? Agreeing on a communication schedule that keeps an open relationship for sharing information are a great way to have positive reinforcements to all of those relationships, and it works best between both parties. That leads to activities as well. So you want to share in those extracurricular activities or projects and all of those different types of things that are in the best interest of the child. Trying to center some of those activities at home around school learning and projects too can only be a plus. Then you can monitor their progress, review how you can work together to maintain success and work on problem areas, report how that progress is going to be measured, and at all times that if things would need to be changed, this gives you an honest opportunity to be accountable for all of the actions that you have taken thus far. Learning about your school's, the child's progress in school and what policies look like, especially in the realms of discipline, school improvement plans, whether or not their child has had any instances of bullying. These are all ways to understand how parents can be involved, even with improvement plans, school compacts, and other information that may be of a certain impact to your child. These are all great ways to understand how you can be an effective advocate, even though the example that we gave weighed heavily on school. These different types of communication pieces can be adapted in each one of those instances. School is just the example that we gave this time. This is a great way to understand how you can take the information that we provide and adapt it to your current family situation. We know that sometimes, even with the best advocates and the best ways of communication, there are times where you may have conflicts. So sometimes that there are issues that might be difficult to resolve. Example given, perhaps you are at an IEP meeting. And when this happens, it's important to maintain control of your words and your actions. So knowing is half the battle is an adage that comes to mind. It's so true. You can be 100% right on this situation, but in an instant, your reaction or your behavior towards it can be 100% wrong, and making it incredibly difficult to get your points across or even to make your case. This leads to effective conflict resolution. You want to understand what starts a conflict. Well, there's a number of things that you can do. So when it comes to educating our children, it's personal. And at that, to add to that, if you are misinformed or made to feel like you're disregarded, like your ideas don't matter and you're disrespected, and you have the full recipe available for a conflict. This is a handout that you will see when we do in-person trainings. However, you see today here on the screen, this is one of the cyclical things of conflict resolution that you can follow. You understanding first what the dispute is, then reviewing what that issue looks like, having communication surround it, collecting data, and then making sure that the dispute has been resolved. If not, we go back to the beginning of the identification and reviewing, speaking on it, and collecting data, then reviewing that data. This is the same way that we will use this graphic to remember, tailor the information that you get in today's workshop, today's presentation, to fit the ideas, fit the narrative that is working for your family at this time. So in simple mediation processes such as IEPs and the like, this is the way that you are going to think of what conflict resolution looks like when there are simple processes. This might be a great time to take a screenshot if you need. This is going to be one way that you can use this process within the IEP to, excuse me, to be able to follow along and work out those conflicts that you may have with any of the issues and any of those items that are added in, starting with both parties agreeing to mediation and leading finally to the mediation process being remaining confidential. Remember that if you want to review your IEP and figure out why that there is a disagreement, remember that cyclical graphic that we showed on the slide previous. This is going to be a way that you are able to continuously have open communication and understand what the conflict is, and then collect all of the data that will be surrounding it, and finally understanding whether or not the conflict has been, understanding that if the conflict has been resolved. So this is one of the ways that we lead to building capacity. building capacity. So let's think about it this way. How do we build capacity with all of the things that you have heard today? Well, we can recruit parent leaders. Your group is always striving to have strong leadership. You can always be interested in increasing that leadership as well, and thinking about the parents that might be in your school's PTA or the parents who are active members of your community. It's a great way to recruit leaders for your group. That helps them to engage all of the members as a whole. We want to think about engaging schools and community agencies as well to be able to strengthen the relationships parents have with their school and the community, and helping them to be able to participate at different events that say that are held either annually or monthly, quarterly, that type of thing. So you want to look for opportunities to collaborate and partner with family engagement activities at all possible. You can join committees as well. Now, all schools and communities have opportunities for you to be active, for you to be involved in what it is that they do. Many schools will invite parents and community members to participate in school advisory boards. Different agencies will post opportunities for even parents to become board members of their organizations. You may see city councils or chamber of commerce often will post opportunities for members of the community to join their committees as well. All of these different aspects will help you to provide great insight for what's going on locally, especially those things that are happening in your surrounding neighborhood. It can also be a great way to establish a support group as a household community name and the go-to persons for that organization, that issue, that cause that you surround yourself with. You also want to provide trainings, focus on constantly improving your efforts. Now, this means that you could offer trainings, workshops, presentations, and the like that's going to increase awareness of the issues that are surrounding you, and with current events and news, and actually with other research that may have been done too. You want to keep yourself informed and update processes, updates with legal changes, maintaining professional development between the members of your group, and having a steady agenda item. That's important for building capacity in you and with your support group as well, and all the members that are registered, or all the members that are a part of your group, and help them to understand the topics that matter most and those causes that that surround you within that group. This helps raising awareness of your mission statement. Remember, back in part 1, we talk about the organization of your group, and the mission statement is actually one of those items. Your community should know what those missions are. What are the things that you hold most importantly? And your families and parents that you serve should know what that mission is and help to achieve it. So you want to make sure that you and your members have a strong strategic plan for raising awareness in your group and the issues that you are most passionate about. And then finally, you want to strategize what your outreach would look like. Know your demographic, know your audience, know something about the family and the community that you serve. This is how you will reach them. This is what outreach looks like. How will you learn about their needs and what those issues are? Have those issues changed or evolved over time? It's your support group's job to keep these topics alive and understand what they are and report on them in your meetings. And it's also important to find out if those changes have taken place in your communities. How best can you adapt as well? So these are going to be ways that you will take account of your mission statement, find out whether or not that statement as well has changed, and then align your group's mission with that statement. So this brings you to the conclusion of part three. We're going to build capacity with those systems in place for your support groups, parents as leaders. So this is our family network on disabilities family as well, with all three of our regional PTIs and the Family Star program as well. Please follow us on either of our social media channels and by web at www.fndusa.org. And for more information, please give us a call. You can contact us at 1-800-825-5736. Again, that number is 1-800-825-5736. Now, thanks again for joining us here for part three in our three-part series of Parents as Leaders. We hope that you have some valuable information in your arsenal and you're ready to tackle those causes with reckless abandon. Help those families and make sure that your cause becomes the go-to person or the go-to group for your issue at hand. My name is Latasha Bird, and it's been a pleasure to have presented to you today. Should you need Family Network on Disabilities, the Family Star program, for any future presentations, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.